extremely grateful to be in the position that I am on YouTube to say that I do fitness as a job. But it's hard to find the balance between doing too much. As the saying goes, jack of all trades, master of none. But sometimes better than master of one.
Today I'm reacting to Tom Merrick's video on starting again.
It just feels like it lacks authenticity, because ultimately I've always tried to be as real as possible. No hype, just being honest online.
Now, I respect Tom Merrick. He's a really good YouTuber. I've been following him since he started his journey, at least on YouTube and social media, about 7 years ago. And it's been really cool watching him evolve and grow and share his story. So I just want to get that out of the way. All the respect in the world for Tom. But what I'm going to talk about in this video, I think a lot of people need to hear, because it's about expectations versus reality. It's about setting realistic goals, and it's about the difference of developing skill with things like calisthenics when you start your training as a late teenager or in your early 20s versus starting in your 30s or 40s when you've got responsibilities like kids, like a mortgage, things that really can't be left behind so that you can put all your focus in your fitness. Now, if you haven't seen this video, I'll share a link in the description because it's a really good video. It's a very honest and authentic opening up of, Tom's experience with, becoming deconditioned from putting his focus into other areas of his life for the last 18 months. And it's a really, really good message. So check out the video if you haven't seen it.
Whilst a lot has happened over the past 18 months, not much of that has been training.
In the video, Tom says that his body now feels structurally unsound due to neglecting his training over the past 18 months so that he could focus on renovating 3 houses. He then shares how he now feels scared to share fitness content as he's almost ashamed of the state of his body. And that's why he hasn't made any fitness videos for such a long time. And he talks about how this all came about, that around 4 years ago, he questioned what else he had of value that he could support himself with and maybe even support a family in the future if fitness ever wasn't enough. And he also talks about how he was comparing himself to the best in the fitness industry, which fed into this doubt. I learned that Tom started training at around the age of 18, and I figured this out because he's 28 years old. I looked at his first YouTube video, which was 7 years ago, and in that video he said he started his fitness journey 3 years ago. And as I said, I think Tom's done a really good job of documenting his journey, but this starting again video that he did really inspired me to share my thoughts on this. Because in my opinion, I think what Tom's experienced is that for the first time in his life, he's had some real responsibilities outside of being a fitness coach. And the thing is that it's very hard, maybe even impossible, to train the same way as someone in their early to mid 20s with no responsibilities at all. When you compare that to somebody in their 30s, 40s, 50s who has a world of responsibilities, family, kids, mortgages, a more demanding job. You're just never going to be able to train the same way as that person in their 20s with no responsibilities living at home with their parents. Now, I don't know that Tom lived at home with his parents, but I'm presuming that he did because a lot of the videos that I saw, he was in a really good home, something that I really doubt someone in their early 20s who's starting out their fitness influencer journey could have afforded. So if I'm wrong, excuse me on that one. I'm just making that assumption. Now, personally, I don't know of a top tier fitness influencer or YouTuber or, fitness professional that's out there on social media who developed their skill after they had the kind of responsibilities that I'm talking about. Now, the people that I follow that I've been really impressed with and inspired by over my decades of training, or I guess maybe the last decade when, social media fitness influencers have really exploded. People like Ido Portal, like Roy Goldschmidt, who I worked with as an online coaching student for 2 years. People like Daniel Vadnal, Simon Atta, or Atta, if however you say it, Simon's to Strength. I don't think that any of those guys developed, in fact, I know for Ido and Roy and Daniel, didn't develop their level of ability after they had the kind of responsibilities that I'm talking about here and the kind of responsibilities that Tom seems to have taken on in the past 18 months. They all got that foundation, that incredible level of strength and flexibility that can then just be maintained when their life was very simple. And it was 100% about fitness, about this journey of calisthenics or movement mastery. Now, if there's people out there that did develop that level, like that top tier level, after they had those responsibilities, maybe they exist, but I don't know of them. Now remember, I'm not talking about people that are good. I'm talking about the top tier influencers, people that are doing one-armed handstands and one-arm pull-ups and press to handstands or stall to press to handstands, these really high level movement skills and calisthenics and flexibility feats. Basically the people that we're all looking to for inspiration. And Tom's one of them. Tom's almost got 1 million subscribers on his YouTube channel. He's somebody that's really well known and well respected in the fitness community online. But this video really highlights for me what happens to someone at that level when life's responsibilities creep in and you have to all of a sudden not put fitness and not put your training first and deal with, things like renovating homes, like getting ahead financially, or, in Tom's case, he doesn't even have kids yet. And again, the reason I'm making this video is I'm in no way am I trying to rag on Tom at all. Again, I'll say it again, I've got huge respect for him. I think he's a really great guy from what I've seen of him with his content. He's got a great message. He speaks from the heart. He's a very authentic person. I'm just trying to highlight, this concept of, for people who do have those responsibilities in their life and they're looking for inspiration on social media, looking at YouTubers, I think people would have a far more enjoyable experience with training if they were more realistic with their goals based on the availability that they have to train and, the responsibilities that they have in their life. And I think this is why a lot of people injure themselves or give up on their fitness goals because, they start with, the inspiration that they said, I want to be able to do handstands or one-arm handstands or whatever it is. That was that spark that got them to start exercising. And shortly after, maybe months or years later, they realized just how much work is required to get there. And for a lot of people, that's the reason why they just give up, altogether. Or even worse, maybe they try to push themselves really, really hard and, get a really nasty injury. But if we can learn from Tom's video and see really just how hard it is to maintain that level of athleticism, then hopefully for everybody who can, dedicate 40 to 60 minutes a day, 5 days a week to their health and fitness, which is far more than what the average person with responsibility can maintain long term. Hopefully those people can maybe be a bit more realistic with their goals and maybe be happy with goals that aren't as grand. Because the truth is, if that's what you've got to dedicate to your training, if you can do an hour a day, 5 days a week, and you've got kids, you've got responsibilities that are going to make it even hard to maintain that every week, every month, then it's going to be very hard to achieve those really high level movement skills that might have motivated you to get started in the first place. And this is why at Unity Gym, we combine strength and flexibility into the same workout, because I think it's really important to, at least be working on the base that allows you to do more of what you love. So it's going to allow you to play sports with your friends on the weekend and not get injured. It's going to allow you to stay in really good shape. It's going to develop a really good level of flexibility. You won't be competing with a gymnast or a dancer, but you can get really flexible like that. You can get really strong. And if you want to know how we do that, you can click or tap the screen there, see one of my workouts. And I hope you got value out of this. If you did, like, subscribe to the channel, comment with anything that you think. If you think this video sucked, let me know. If you liked it, let me know, and I'll see you in that next video.